Before going into the topic details, I want to bring your attention to the UPSC coaching programs offered by ClearIAS. ClearIAS offers online and offline courses to help candidates get selected for prestigious government services like IAS, IPS, or IFS. ClearIAS Prelims Cum Mains (PCM) course provides a highly effective study plan, well-organized subject-wise videos, study materials, mock exams, and guidance to cover the entire GS syllabus of UPSC CSE prelims, mains, and interview systematically. As a limited-period offer, there is a 40% discount on our online courses. Enroll now.
So what happened was that there was a Waqf, Waqf board is there. So we'll understand what this particular Waqf board is. We'll understand what this Waqf is. So this is not a religious class, let me tell you. But we have to understand the concept of the Waqf Amendment Bill and in the current affairs class. Why? Because there are different times in which in the mains exam, they can ask you about the different acts and the bills that is under passing in the parliament. They can ask you about the different properties or the different sections or the different amendments put forward by the particular bill, etc. That is a very good, very much high possibility. And in the prelims also, there were times in which some of the bills, not even the acts and all, some of the bills they were actually asking, what is the purpose amendments in the said bill? They'll give you 2-3 statements. They used to ask questions like that. So that is why this is one of the important bills actually came in the parliament recently in the last week. So that is why we took the particular bill. Next thing. So what is actually this particular bill? That is what we are going to understand. So as you saw, they introduced the bill. The Minister of Minority Affairs, Mr. Kiran Rijiju introduced the bill, and then a lot of different points were raised, and the opposition started, a lot of different issues also. They started objecting to it because of certain things also. So that is what we are going to understand. What is the bill, the purpose of the bill, the objective of the bill, we can say, and what are the objections of the opposition also. What are the concerns raised by them also. And eventually, this was actually sent to the Joint Parliamentary Committee for extra scrutiny. So whenever there is a bill, whenever there is a discussion, deliberation happening in parliament, the thing is ideally there should be higher deliberations, discussions. So there was one concern with the parliament recently that lot of different other bills were actually passed without much discussions and deliberations. The other reason is that the opposition just goes to walk out. So whenever an issue comes, the opposition knows how to walk out. So ideally it should not be the case. The opposition should sit there. They should have proper advantageous discussions. That is one thing. And the next thing is in the side of the government, they say that what they do is that they try to have less discussions also. So both sides has to be concerned. So when the topic is actually introduced, let me remind you before the actual topic start that like any other class, any other topic, we have political affiliations or influences or interests. Well, some of you might be a BJP supporter, some of you might be a Rahul Gandhi supporter. All those things are there, but keep that within you when this particular thing, UPSC is actually coming, the exam is actually coming. So we have all the kind of political affiliations, influence, etc. But be it in a very limited manner when it comes to the exam. So these kind of things are extremely, sensitive kind of topics. So we have that kind of interest and all. You'll be reading about some other, you will have your own other, different materials, or the blogs or a blog, YouTube channels, or some other newspapers, etc., where you will be having discussions and all. So our mind will be aligned with that. That is the normal reality. So one person who is always watching a communist ideology thing, that mind will be like that. One person who is always watching the saffron politics or the BJP thing, that will be aligned with that. And there will be casteism, there will be religion, etc. It is everything, every kind of such thing is actually within us. We are actually part of India, right? India has all the aspects. And it will be foolish to think that we are actually not part of them. We are actually ideal people. We cannot think like that. We have all the different traits that is in the Indian. We are also Indian. So we are actually suppressing some of the evil things. We are actually projecting some of the good things. That is the normal thing. That is the the correct thing. That is the reality that is happening. So we have all the kind of goodness, all the kind of badness within us because we are Indians. We are actually India. So before starting the topic, I just wanted to remind that. So keep see that particular topic in the prism or in the sphere of this particular UPSC perspective. So what they actually have sent this to the Joint Parliamentary Committee for better scrutiny because the opposition was saying that there is not that much scrutiny happening and not that much discussions are happening on different kinds of bills. But this bill has to be debated. So send it as specialty. So then they send it to Joint Parliamentary Committees for extra scrutiny. That is actually having. And what the opposition is actually saying, they're using different words such as draconian law. They're actually using the terms as unconstitutional. So this bill is unconstitutional, this is draconian, this is actually an attack on the minorities. That is what the opposition is saying. So we are going to understand what the different, viewpoints are. So there were actually somewhere around, we can say, 40 amendments in the actual act. There was an actual act, that is the 1995 Waqf Board Act, and they are actually introducing somewhere around 40 amendments in this particular act. That is one very important thing. And what these amendments are actually implying is that they want to regulate. Again, the word is regulation. The word is not banning. We cannot ban anything. We should regulate everything. So this particular amendment right now is actually being introduced to have better regulation, to have better administration in the Waqf Board and the Waqf Board properties and all, so that there will be more accountability, more transparency will be there, and more inclusivity will be there. That is the side of the government, the side of the introduction of the bill. When we coming ahead with that, the next thing is, what is a Waqf property? That is a prelims concept. So if this particular topic will be in news consistently, definitely these kind of words can also be very important. So what is actually a Waqf property? This can be movable or non-movable. So again, I'm not trying to teach you all the Islamic laws and Islamic things and all. Even I don't know what that is. So that is not my intention. But I'm just trying to tell you the basic concept of the particular bill. So before going into the bill, we have to understand what the particular terms in the bill. So this is actually what is a Waqf property. It can be non-movable, immovable or movable properties that are actually given by Muslims for a specific purpose. So it is actually, it may be religious, it may be charitable, it may be for private purposes, but all these land, all these properties, all the buildings, all the infrastructure, it is actually governed under the Waqf Board Act. So there will be a central council will be there, and then there will be state councils also. So all the central council and the state councils will be dealing with all the different properties, the lands, etc. And why this bill is that much important is that it is said that the Waqf Board, the central Waqf Board, etc., all the Waqf properties, if taken together, we can say that somewhere around it is actually somewhere around 8.7 lakh lands are there, 7 lakh properties are there, and in combining it together, it will be somewhere around 9.4 lakh crore acres. 9.4 lakh acres. Just imagine if one particular institution in India is having the administration of 9.4 lakh acres of land, which means that this Waqf Board, it is actually, at least I guess some blogs say that it is the second largest or the third largest. So it is actually one of the largest landholders in India. So just imagine, after Government of India and all, it is the second or third largest government, second or third largest landholders in India, which means that this topic is actually extremely important. So if this particular people are actually, this board is actually controlling somewhere around 2 or 3% of land in India, which means that it is actually extremely important, right? So that is why this entire topic is extremely important. And the next thing is that the Waqf Board Act and Waqf concept is that the beneficiaries of properties can be different. They can start an educational institution, they can start a hospital. So beneficiaries can be different, but the ownership is actually properly implied to be with the God. That is the concept of the Waqf property. So that is the concept of Waqf Board and all. And the Board Act was actually established in 1995, and that is how the particular thing is actually being regulated. And the particular Waqf Board, they actually try to regulate, they actually manage, and they have the power to declare some properties also. So let me remind you, let me focus on that particular thing. Declare, that is the issue here. So they have the Waqf Board, they have the power to manage all the different properties, to designate some property or to administer that property or to construct a building like school, educational institution or hospitals, etc. But they have one more power, that is to declare a property as a Waqf property. They can say that land is actually, that land belongs to the Waqf property. They can say like that. So what is the issue in that? So let me attract your focus in this particular issue. This was actually in 2022. I hope you know the issue, right? So you're from Tamil Nadu. So this particular place is actually from Tiruchendurai. So some of your the audience in the online class, they may not be aware about this thing. So recently there was an issue when some people, they actually in the village of Tiruchendurai in Tamil Nadu, they tried to sell the particular, their own land actually. So when they tried to sell their land, then only they came to know that the authority said that you have to get an NOC from the Waqf board, the state Waqf board, etc. They said, why should I get an NOC, the non-objection certificate, NOC, and all the things, papers on Waqf board? It is my property, right? But they said that it is not like that. Your property, the land, the house which you are actually having, that entire village, the Tiruchendur village in Tamil Nadu is actually having the ownership of the Waqf board. The Waqf board is actually the owner of this building. So if you want to sell the property, you have to take their permission. So just imagine the shock of the people. So this particular thing is actually, and there were other, the queen was actually Queen Rani Mangamal, I guess. So it is actually Queen Mangamal, that is actually insignificant. So there was a queen, and what said was that the queen actually gifted this particular property to the Waqf board. That was the thing happened. So when the land was actually gifted to the Waqf board, it actually became a Waqf property. That was during the monarch times. But when a person is trying to sell his home or his land, when this particular act is coming, that is actually draconian. That cannot be, there is no transparency in that particular thing. So that is the concept there, and there were a lot of religious overtones to that also. A lot of politicians and all the things came together. They said that it is actually Hindu, all the Hindu-Muslim things actually started coming in between that also. And there were other incidents also. For example, there was a Bengaluru, there is this Eidgah ground. So the Waqf board said that this entire ground belongs to us. So because the Eidgah used to happen there. And then in Surat actually, the municipal corporation building, it was actually supposed to be a sarai in the Mughal times. So this was actually in Surat. The municipal corporation building. And the Waqf board said that actually this was a sarai sarai means a rest house, something like that, a lodge-like thing. When the long-distance travelers go, the Mughals and those kind of emperors used to construct buildings so that they can take the rest in that particular place. The water, the food will be available there, like a lodge, like a hostel. So this particular municipal corporation building in Surat was a sarai in the Mughal times. So this entire building is actually a Waqf property. So these kind of things actually started coming into the fore. So that is why declaring a property as a Waqf board, that has to be regulated. That is the one of the major objectives of this particular bill. Because if it is going unchecked, it could be any land also. They can, the Waqf board, the people, it is not the board actually, it is the people. The people who may be sitting there, they can actually say that that is Waqf property because of this logic. Then it is going according to that, they may create some issues. So to regulate them is the objective of the government. It is the objective that is set by the government. So going ahead with this particular thing, what are the different objectives of the bill? So keep in mind that declaration issue. So what are the different objectives of the bill? The first thing is definitely stop the misuse of the power. So they have the power to declare also, to manage, and all the things are there, to administer the institution, to construct a building, all the things are there, but there should not be a misuse of power. Just like I said, the declaration of the thing. So there was a thing that is actually in the earlier act, that it could be declared orally also. That is, one can simply say that, okay, this is a Waqf property. So it cannot go like that. There should be proper verification mechanisms, proper registration mechanisms also. So that is one thing. The misuse of power has to be stopped. The next thing is that there will be a proper survey of all the Waqf board properties in India, and there are a lot of different disputed territories also, disputed land also. It is said that somewhere close to 40,000 cases are there in India, which is actually dealing with the disputed Waqf properties. So that much cases are there. So that much cases has to be settled down. That disputes has to be settled down. There should be a proper way there. So a proper survey has to be there. That is the another objective. And the next thing is that the administration has to be proper. If the people are ruling or taking decisions in their own personal manner, if they like that property to be Waqf, okay, that is a Waqf property. So that things cannot be going on. There should not be any arbitrary decisions. So there should not be any arbitrary decisions or personal decisions. There should be proper criteria set. That is the objective of this particular policy, this particular bill. So let's discuss what are the different things which are set in the particular bill. So these are the different points which you have to focus on. The first thing is that the name of this particular Waqf board is actually changed. Again, you don't have to remember this name. You don't have to exactly remember United Waqf Management Empowerment Efficiency like that. That is actually not at all required. You may be asked about the summary of this particular bill. Then you can write, but you don't have to mention about the different name. You can just mention that the name is actually changed. That is one important thing. The next thing is that there should be proper registration. The Waqf board cannot simply say that that thing is actually like a Waqf board property, but that thing should be properly registration. That is actually an important thing. And where then the next thing is that the mandatory verification. You can register it, one thing. Next thing is that there should be a proper verification from the authorities. Who is the authority responsible here? It is actually the district magistrate, that is the district collector himself. So all of you people, when you become the district collector, you will be the district magistrate also. You have the judicial powers also. So the district collector, the district magistrate, both are the same people. They have the power to do verification of the Waqf board property. So the role of district collector is actually huge in this particular act, when this becomes an act. And the next thing is that this will be a mandatory verification. All the disputed properties, all the things will be properly verified by the authority. And then the formation of the Waqf board. The Waqf board and the functions of the different Waqf boards will be definitely elaborated in this particular thing. They cannot actually overdo any of the things. Their actions will be limited. That is one particular thing. And the composition of the central state councils. So we already mentioned that there is a central council, there is a state council. The composition will be altered. There is actually one another important issue happening here, the composition. What about the composition is that the women plus minorities. Other minorities. What are the other minorities? We can say Aga Khanis, Boharas, etc. So they are the different other types of Muslims or sects of Muslims in India, I can say, or in the world also. So what the particular bill is saying is that there is actually Waqf board, there is a central council, there is a state council, there is actually dominance of one sect of Muslims. So what the particular law is saying is that in that particular board actually, there should be mandatorily women inclusion has to be there, and then the minority, the other types of sections of people has to also be there. So that thing will be decided by the district authorities and the other people and all. So that is one other point of concern by the opposition parties, which we will be discussing in the next slide. And then the next thing is there should be proper audit mechanism. All the land, all the properties which they are registering, they will be mandatorily audited by any auditor appointed by the CA&AG. So just going to the CA&AG is also extremely important actually, because CA&AG is it a constitutional body or a statutory body? CAG. Constitutional body, right? So CAG is actually under Article 148. It is actually a constitutional body, one of the important bodies in India. It is this particular CAG, any auditor appointed by the CAG has to audit this particular land, all the properties by the Waqf board. So it should be properly registered, properly verified, and there should be proper audit also. That is what the particular thing is saying. And then we have a central Waqf board, council, etc. And there will be separate Waqf boards for the other sects of Muslims, that is the Aga Khanis and Boharas. So different sects of other Muslims will also be, their concerns will also be accommodated in this particular bill. So that is what this particular thing is saying. And to add to is that in 2023, the Delhi High Court, they had actually said that the government of India may carry physical, the inspections of around 123 properties, which is actually claimed by the Delhi Waqf Board. So there are a lot of disputes happening, and the courts, different courts, high courts, etc., they're actually asking the governments to come forward and to identify the issue and solve the issue. So a lot of different disputes are there. To settle all the disputes, this particular act is actually being introduced to bring the accountability, to bring transparency, and to bring exclusivity, the inclusivity also. That is, all the women and others, different sections of people, they're actually coming into the board. The decisions will be more inclusive. That is the government's prerogative. So more transparency, more inclusivity, that is what the government is actually aiming for. Right. So let's go to so that is the government side. So let's, I'm not trying to balance here, but we have to understand the other side of the thing also. So what is the opposition is saying? The opposition is mainly invoking some of the articles of the constitution. And they are actually saying it is draconian. They are saying it is actually affecting the freedom of religion, etc. So what are the articles invoked by them? One thing is actually the Article 25. The next thing is Article 26. So what is it? The Article 25 and 26 relate with the freedom of religion, etc. So this particular thing is that the Constitution of India guarantees the freedom of conscience and the right to practice, profess and propagate any religion of choice to all people, including citizens and non-citizens. This all the different words in every article is actually important. You may not remember the exact words and all, but just imagine that citizens and non-citizens. What if this prelim statement asks you something like this? But if we don't know the particular concept, they said that, okay, according to Article 25, we can actually practice, propagate, profess religion. But can we practice or propagate the religion to a foreigner which is coming to India as a tourist? Can, yes, we can. That is actually the non-citizens. But we automatically think otherwise. Okay, it is not possible to practice the propagate the religion to a foreigner who is staying in India for some time, who is a non-citizen. That is not possible. The normal way is that we think something else, the actual thing is something else. So make sure that you read the article, the basic article. You don't have to read all the clauses, etc. Read the basic article, divide it into, by adding different commas and all, divide it into different subsections so that you will understand what this thing is. So there is actually a freedom of religion, freedom of conscience, etc. to practice, etc. And the opposition is saying is that they have the right to practice the religious land, religious properties in their own manner. That is one point. And Article 26 of the Constitution of India grants religious denominations the right to manage their own religious affairs, institutions and property. This fundamental right is part of right to religion. So this 25 and 26 is actually part of right to religion, right to freedom of religion. And this 26 especially says that they can manage, they can administer their own property. So this is actually part of right to religion. And this is one particular thing which the opposition was actually pointing it out, that is in the Article 30, there is educational institution administration by the minorities, of course. So there are different articles which they are saying, they are invoking different other stories also. For example, the Ayodhya Temple Trust Board. So just imagine if the Ayodhya is actually, the temple is actually being constructed, will the government, will the board, will the trust actually include any non-Hindus in the construction of that particular temple, the board? There is actually no there is only Hindus there. That is the point which is raised by the opposition parties. By calling it unconstitutional, by calling it unethical, they are actually saying inclusion of non-Muslims or other people in the board, in the Waqf board is actually contrary. Why? Because it is not permitted in other different this religious institutions. They're actually invoking, what if the other people are actually included in Ayodhya temple board or in Gurudwara committees, etc., or in other Devasam boards. So there are no other people included in those committees and all, those trusts and those boards. So why non-Muslims are actually included in this board? That is a point raised by the opposition. But definitely there is a point, it is a very good controversial issue, of course. They can say that, okay, it is an Ayodhya temple construction is a different manner. The land management in India is a different manner. The government is saying like that. So it is definitely a controversial issue. So please tread with caution. You get the data. You get through the UPSC perspective, the prism of UPSC. Get the basic data only that is required for the UPSC perspective. And the next thing which is actually said by the opposition parties is actually about the Schedule 7, the 7th schedule. The 7th schedule lists the union list, the state list, the concurrent list, etc. And in the 7th schedule, in the land is actually a subject of the state subject. This is a state subject. The land is not a concurrent subject, not a central subject. The property, the land, everything is actually state subject. So it should be, given to the prerogative of the states. That is the opposition is saying. But what the government is actually, contradicting is that they're saying is that in the concurrent list, there is actually entry number 10, which means that trust and trustees. Though in the concurrent list, the central government can also take action. So what happens in a concurrent list? If the state government or the central government has conflicting interest, what happens in a concurrent list?
The center is the same.
The center, the union government will actually, that is the residuary powers. The residuary powers. So the residuary power is with the central government. So concurrent list, both the governments can actually legislate. But if there is a conflict, there is a case of conflict, the union government, the central government will rule. That is the point. So they are saying that entry 10 according to the concurrent list, there is trust and trustees. So there are different other entries in the concurrent list. So based on that, we can definitely regulate or legislate in this particular thing. That is actually saying. And some other MPs are saying about the, advent of new PILs. What is a PIL? Other thing. PIL.
Interest litigation.
Public interest litigation. Right. So it is a very important discovery in India, innovation in India, we can say. That is, if there is a particular issue that is concerning the whole public as a whole, then we or you, anybody of us can, in a very simple letter or a postcard, just imagine, or a simple letterhead, we can write it to the court, be it to the High Court or the Supreme Court, we can just write it, we can send it there, and they will actually take up the issue. That is a public interest litigation. If there is a public matter of concern, we can actually address it. The common citizen can also take up the matter. If there is a serious matter, definitely the court will actually take it in the registry and finally the court will deal with the matter. So the point, the concern raised with the opposition, the other side is that this will start, issue of the new PAs. Already there are a lot of PAs, lot of different cases going on in the country in different judicial institutions, that there are certain mosques, etc., some other Muslim institutions, which were in the ancient past or the past, actually, they were Hindu temples. So they were converted into the Muslim institutions. So we have to do a proper survey. We have to demolish this thing. We have to identify the Hindu ancestry roots. So all these things are actually happening. So that is the concern of the opposition, that it will cause it will open the floodgates to new PALs. So there will be a flurry of PALs from different parts of India. There will be new cases will be coming. What is the result of it is that there will be communal tensions and all. Communal tensions and plus hate speeches and hatred will be spread. So people will be viewing each other with suspicion. The communities will be divisive. So all those things will be happening because of this particular act if it is coming. So that is the concern of the opposition. That is the point raised by the opposition. And I myself have got this experience that when I go to my own religious institution, that is the Hindu institution, I see that, okay, some of the institutions, Hindu temples where I go, I could see that they were actually Buddhist actually in the ancient past. Have you ever noticed, especially in South Indian region, some of the temples where we go, it is actually, when we go there, we can see the evidence of the, Jainist or the Buddhist past actually. So what if the Buddhists come again with the same kind of PL? This was a Buddhist institution or this was a Jain institution. So all the Hindu temples and their thing will be good. That has to be ousted. We have to demolish the Hindu temple. We have to start a Buddhist tradition, etc. What if that happens? What is some religion which is actually behind Buddhism or Jainism? They come that we used to worship sun and all. There is a sun, idol of the sun and moon. But this Buddhism cannot happen. So destroy the idol of Buddha. We have to worship sun. What if that comes? So this will be a chain reaction. This is a funny thing, of course. This is a sarcasm, of course. But that is actually the reality. If we start going back to the past, how far we will go? That is the point. And the temple that is Chitral. Any idea? Chitral is that's the example. Chitral is one very famous Jain institution. It is a Jain temple. It is actually protected by the Archaeological Survey of India. That is in the Kanyakumari district. Kanyakumari district is the southernmost district in India. One of the most southernmost place of India. And in that district, we have a temple. It's a very huge temple. Please go to Google and check the images and YouTube videos and all. It's a beautiful place protected by the Archaeological Survey of India. It is a rocky terrain. So you go there, you park your vehicle just below a small hillock, and then you start climbing the stairs. You get your basic tickets and all, start climbing the stairs. There will be boats and all by the Archaeological Survey of India that it is protected hillock and all, protected area. So you walk along the hill, you will see kind of not evergreen forest, kind of deciduous dry thorn forest and all, because it is not a very wet area. So some kind of rain is actually happening. So you climb up the hill. So as you climb the hill, you will slowly start to see the different visual. And once you are up the hill, you can see even the sea to the ocean, the Indian Ocean area to the one side, and some hillocks to the other side and all. You can see the Agasthyamala Biosphere Reserve. That is one of the 18 biosphere reserves in India. So you can see the Agasthyamala Biosphere Reserves on the one side and see to the next side. So that is very beautiful place. So once you are up the hill, there is a temple. That temple is actually the Chitral Jain temple, which is actually protected site of Archaeological Survey of India. It is a very kind of slightly difficult terrain, the hill tops and all. So, but there are a lot of people actually coming into the temple area. My point is that there are two ponds, beautiful ponds are there. People come to sit there in the morning, evening. My summary point is that it is actually worshipped as some Shakti temple, like Durga Devi. The Devi temple is actually right now. It is now a Hinduistic tradition is actually going on there. But when you go there, everything which is happening inside the temple is actually Hinduistic. But when you go to the temple, walk around the temple, everything is actually Jainist. So there are different hundreds and thousands of structures there which have actually converted from one religion to other. But what if such PILs come? That is a very large issue. That will be creating lot of other different issues in India. We can say that India is actually, unity in diversity. All the things are there. It is actually true also. That is why we survived all the 75, 80 years. We are surviving like that. But there is also a fact that this thing is very sensitive. So once we are actually opening the floodgates of this sensitive issue, there is a chance that it will lead to more problems. That is the side of the government and that is the side of the opposition. I hope it is actually clear for you. That is, you should not take a balance side. You can take your own sides and all, but make sure that you substantiate it with your own viewpoints. Whatever views you have, you can write in your main. But don't simply write one point. Why you think like that? You write that also.